first game. We can have a look at the pick bands, you know, on the lower end of our screen. I'm curious to see now how OMG and BLG line up as they come into this.
Yeah, one thing that, you know, I jumped to straight away is the fact that Cream keeping his identity solid, getting his hand onto the Sylas. A lot of early topside skirmish potential coming out from OMG overall. We got the Zinzao, we got the Renekton. And then for BLG, we got something I think it does a little bit better later on. The Ezreal, the Viego coming out, the Diana, which we just saw in the past 2 games, and the kind of impact that that can have, specifically in that game 2 from the WE series. And yeah, I think both drafts look very high impact, especially once we get into the mid game, right? A ton of champions on both sides wanting to dive onto the backline.
I was just about to say, you're looking at these 2 compositions, you know, on one side, Renekton, Zinzao, Sylas, and Rakan all looking to be on top of you, on top of your face, and on the other, the Diana, the Volibear, the Viego, the Nautilus, these guys, again, very, very similarly, want to look for those big team fights, those big ultimates, those big catch-outs, so we'll see how it all pans out. We're going to waste little or no time and jump straight into game 1 of this best of 3, as OMG look to continue their good start, and BLG start to maybe fix out a little bit of the rocky start they've had so far.
I think the decent thing for BLG going early on is that they will have prio in both top and mid matchups, so Wei should have a very easy time just full clearing towards that top side. We know Diana specifically wants to get to that level 6 mark before you can really find any impact. For Aki, he will have push in bot lane. You can even see that he is starting leashless, so Abel and Cold going to be able to start on the wave, but he's going to be able to have a lot more early impact being on the Zinzao, I think specifically pairing up with his bottom lane, which do have a lot of all-in skirmishing potential.
See where he wants to prioritize, and I suppose the big thing for me is I look at a Renekton, I think there's going to be jungle attention to that side. Such a great combination there, but we'll wait and see and how it all goes. As we now have pretty standard lanes, nothing really too untoward about it, as the junglers do start on opposite sides. They're both starting on their blue quadrants, and we'll see exactly where they want to go for it. But just talking a little bit as well about the jungle pathing and such, I'm actually curious to know, where do you see kind of this Diana looking to make plays? Where do you see BLG looking to, you know, create advantages in this early game?
I mean, that's the sad thing, Penguin. I think in the first few minutes, we're not going to see a lot of action coming out from Wei. I think top side, you do have the stronger top lane matchup, but you do lose that top 2v2 pre-6. When it comes to mid lane, Viego's going to be pushing in as well, so there shouldn't be too many gank opportunities, so you're just looking to get up to that first Scuttle Crab unscathed, which, if we're looking at right now, it looks like both junglers just going to full clear, get Scuttle Crabs on the opposite sides, and then the more interesting part to me is what Aki will want to do, because I do think you have potential to maybe look to get some flashes out of bot lane, specifically target PP God, because we know Amy's going to have a lot of safety with his E. You also can look towards top, I think, pre-6, because that is when your 2v2 is superior to BLG's.
Well, skirmishing in the mid lane. We have seen this matchup quite a few times now in the LPL of Viego versus the Sylas. Very difficult for the Sylas to really kind of get a foothold here. You're not really looking to take too many fights. The Viego's just too damn strong in this 1v1. And already we're seeing Cream just being forced underneath the turret, forced to use all of his mana, and forced to use the teleport.
Yeah, I think EVG had a very good interpretation of how to play this matchup out, which wasn't at all to do with the 1v1. It's get your jungle and support involved early on, because, you know, you have mixed damage coming out in the mid and jungle setup. You know Viego's going to constantly look to push. You know that Wei shouldn't be able to look for any sort of impactful counter gank, so if OMG can utilize that bot prio they have, maybe move Cold towards the mid lane, bring Aki over, that could be a way you punish Zika. And then specifically, if Cream can hit that Abscond Abduct, that can turn into a kill.
Again, like I said, not really too much to be worrying about in this early game. Both teams playing relatively safely, just making sure they're warding up, getting vision, getting kind of information. And if you don't have information, that lack of information, they are setting themselves up very, very safely. As we see, both mid laners did TP back into the mid lane, and start to see exactly where these junglers want to go. They both got their first back, and I will say right now, it is the Diana, Wei, who has got the faster clear, of course, on the Diana versus the Zinzao, and is able to get on the map a little bit quicker, so we'll see if that is any kind of advantage for an objective, or maybe an advantage towards this mid lane. But there was a ward just there, and Cream has to back himself out. Good ward here from the side of OMG to catch out the Diana roaming in. And now there's no
also
camps
nice
to take.
Cream. he didn't overcommit with the abscond abduct, right? He was like trading with his W, getting off some passive hits, landing the Q, save that E to be able to get away once he did notice that Wei Wei was pathing over. So, you know, ultimately, I think Cream's doing his job pretty nicely. I think for OMG, the first bit of action we should expect to see is maybe when that the blue buff respawn on the side of BLG, right? We've seen that OMG have consistent push up in bot side, so when the blue buff respawns, I think as OMG can already be setting up a plan of like, hey, we can utilize the spot pressure, maybe hover towards mid, look to do an invade on this blue buff, and by that time, Cream will be level 6, he'll be able to have more impact in skirmishes, but we are potentially getting a little bit of a shakeup in mid lane. Looks like PB God just wanting to hover just in case Aki or anyone would want to come punish Zika's pushing out of the wave.
Yeah, they're just covering their bases, making sure that OMG don't get too uppity about the whole thing. You can see there on the mini-map, they had got Aki, they had got Cold as well, but now Wei Wei is up in this top side. Not quite level 6, but there is a big minion wave here. New will not hit level 6 soon enough, and they have to back away from this turret. Doesn't blow any summoners, but does end up losing quite a bit of gold and XP.
Yeah, nice of him to hold on to the E, waits for Wei Wei to jump in. Wei Wei not level 6 yet, so not able to get that Moonfall and pull him in. Still, though, BB doing a really nice job of abusing this matchup. We know Volibear wins out in the extended trades, especially coming out from hitting your W and then getting the bonus damage if you're able to W once again. Renekton, it's a lot more about poking him with your Q, trying to sustain up, and waiting for if that jungle pressure would come around. But it seems like OMG are not going to be playing that game. They are just going to play all in around their bot side pressure. Aki gets a free dragon off that one. We see a Scuttle Crab he's doing right now. And even the bot side camps of BLG will be respawning if Aki wants to look towards an invade.
Happy enough though, taking the dragon, and that's again something we see all the time now with our, some of our best teams, even mid-level teams. Reactionary plays. If you get something on one side, we pull on the other, and that's kind of what we want to see. And as I say that, Aki has taken your advice and now is working towards this blue buff. This is a 3v3, will be a 4v3 in favor of BLG as Viego is roaming around. Not a lot of damage here for the AD carries. We see now Flash in by the side of the Nautilus. He goes in, he gets healed up, he's still being able to stay alive. And the Viego gets the reset as now the real fight can continue. The Renekton is here. He TP'd in as Cream gets himself a kill. The Renekton falls, and it's going to be Cream pushing forward, trying to get all these kills. It looks so good for the start of BLG, but it's OMG that end up coming out trumps in this trade. They've taken 4, they've only lost 2. Yes, these health bars are low, but once these cooldowns come back, aiming is in a lot of trouble. He flashes over the wall to safety.
And great play coming out from Cream, especially stealing away Wei Wei's ultimate, finding his way into the fight, shutting down a lot of these members. Did turn into a 5v5 because both top laners did have TP, and I think even small nuances of the fight, right? Aki was level 6, Wei Wei still only level 5, so not having access to that ultimate himself. And we're going to go straight into the replay, which is something we'd love to see. OMG just doing a good job utilizing the spot prio. Keep your eyes on PB God because he's going to be the one looking for the initial engage. Going to just flash right over. Cream doing a good job of making sure that Zika isn't able to get into the fight. That's when he goes in, does take away the Diana ultimate, and just finds such a nice moonfall onto what looked like 2 or 3 members of the side of BLG, and then Cream on the back line just able to clean up so well. They don't get aiming, but in the end, I mean, your Silas is absolutely massive right now, and we've seen that Cream is the playmaker for OMG, so there's no better player that could get these kills.
Yeah, 3 kills now onto the Silas, and this little kind of mid-game or a mid-lane skirmishing power that you have with the Viego for Zika just isn't really that big of a thing now. It's not something that you're worried about if you're on the side of OMG, but now OMG feeling like they have got that mid lane pressure, they have got the advantage on the top side. They're just going to be able to push out mid, move their bot lane up, and take the Rift Herald.
Yeah, and I like the way they do it as well, right? Because they're not even gonna, they shouldn't even lose anything in bottom lane either. They just hover around towards mid. They know that BLG shouldn't be looking to overcommit with the state of both mid and top wave as well. So Abel going to be able to move back down towards the bottom lane. Shouldn't miss any CS. Looks like potentially going to miss 1, maybe 2, but I like that OMG didn't overcommit on that objective. They got pretty much everything for free, didn't lose out on any gold or EXP, and now they're going to be able to walk away from this happy.
And something that OMG have really, really been good at this split has been just shifting the gears, making their opponents uncomfortable when they have a lead. And when they're getting these objectives, the Dragons, the Rift Heralds are able to accelerate that gold into whichever lane they like. They tend to be able to just make things work. And like right now, they're going to be able to steal the Nautilus ultimate from PP God. And now he's in a hell of a lot of trouble, not able to get out. And Cream just picks up a solo kill.
And I mean, that was just an overstep coming out from PP God. Is Cream's going to look for this?
This guy's a monster. Cream just making so many advantages. And we talked about how there is no better man for the side of OMG to get these kills. He is paying dividends back to his team.
Yeah, OMG overall trading Rakan ult for Zika's ult. I don't think there was really ever any kill pressure there because Cold's coming in right after Cream uses his all 3 of his cooldowns, so I'm not going to really be able to put out any more damage beyond that. But going back to the initial pick on a PP God, right? OMG's bottom lane just pushed out their wave. You can see Cream has control of the mid lane matchup. Weiwei's still coming from base, so just an unforced error coming out from PP God. It's even bigger advantage for the side of OMG. I don't think BLG are in dire straits quite yet. Only, not even actually a 1k gold lead. And we know Ezreal will come online once he gets to that 2-item point. Divine Sunder will be incredibly strong, but especially once he gets the Mirror Mana. And then Weiwei needing some time to get that burst down with the Rocket Belt. Zika, if they can set up resets for him. But OMG in an incredibly good position. Both Silas and Tristana scale phenomenally. And I just feel like Cream is in such a good place to take over this game. You just keep hovering around with support jungle. He's going to be able to keep prio up. And then for the side of OMG, they should be able to rotate to whichever side of the map they choose. And we can see from how the matchups are going, it's going to continuously be the bottom lane.
Yeah, well, 6 seconds till this dragon spawns. You gotta feel like if you're BLG, you actually have a double Divine Sunder picked up, so you're actually at a bit of a power spike. They may look to contest this if they can get everyone back on the map. PP's not quite available just yet for either top laner. Mid laners did just use them into mid, as we can see now. Cream just pushing Zika back underneath his turret. This is where we might see a little bit of a skirmish, but Diana going top side, they're giving it up. They don't need to panic about it just yet, and they're going to give a 2-dragon lead over to OMG.
Yeah, so accepting that they can't take this fight just yet, we are going to see Weiwei go back to clearing his camps, which, sadly for him, there aren't that many up. Maybe he can utilize top pressure and look to walk into OMG's jungle, but OMG realizing, hey, Weiwei went top side, they're going to take advantage of this and look to deny Wave's bot or look for a dive.
Yeah, good respect here from BLG, but there's only really, one play to do, and that's run away. You can't really do much else about it. They will drop the Rift Herald now. That's going to be a lot of gold over to Abel and Aki, and that is more and more money back in the favor of OMG. They've now got themselves about a 1,500 gold lead. Weiwei look for something on the top side, but again, good respect from OMG just backing themselves away.
Yeah, and we see aiming actually having, I think it was about a 20 CS advantage, but still with the plate gold going over, with the kills that OMG been able to pick up, it's actually Abel who's up about 600 gold, so not too bad for the bot lane from OMG. And I like that OMG are utilizing the early skirmishing power of their comp to keep pushing their advantages ahead, and this would be a pretty good time to say that, I feel like expectations for these teams pretty much have gone out the window. They came in with opposite expectations. BLG were a team a lot of us thought would be good. OMG, we didn't have much expectation for because we didn't know all too much about Cream other than his proficiency on Assassins. But OMG have got it together. They work together as a unit. They're invading, getting vision together, and making picks, where BLG, I think, individually have struggled and looked a little bit lost, especially once we get to that mid-game.
Yeah, honestly, it feels like BLG are the ones really struggling with those expectations, whereas OMG, if they win, that's fantastic. If they lose, no one expected them to win anyway, so in this early stage of the season, they're playing like they have nothing to lose because, to be perfectly honest, they don't. And we can see now the trades coming out from both sides of the map. You see OMG and BLG both pushing in top and bot, trying to see if they can make something happen. Weiwei and PP God are here. There is a flash exhaust here for PP God as well as from the depths, so maybe look to go for a fight or something. They do pick up a top lane turret in favor of OMG, and with 3 minutes till this dragon, I don't feel like OMG have any real need to face check this.
Oh no, and I like what they did, right? Because of Tristana, they're able to take the turret faster on top side, so they immediately pivot into BLG's top side jungle, get vision down, they steal away the red, they're stealing away Raptors, so they're denying even more camps from Weiwei. When we're talking about Weiwei's one of the big members who want to scale up to come in with that immediate burst from his ultimate. to potentially be able to get on someone like Abel and instantly take him out from a team fight. So not only are they getting that turret top, which sure was a bit of a trade, but they're able to utilize that trade to get more for themselves than BLG were able to get on the opposite side of the map.
Small little moments where you're just kind of taking that little bit more, that little bit extra gold, those little extra camps. And it does mean that there's pretty much, you know, mythic items across the board now for both sides. Only the support's really lacking in that, which is to be expected. Gore drinkers for both Nu and Aki. Rift Herald will be spawning in the next 30 seconds or so. And that might be the next point of contention. You can see both these sides neither really wanting to just give away an objective for free. As it is BLG who are going to start up the Rift Herald, but they are kind of moving back towards mid. They've lost priority there.
I mean, the big thing as well, right? You look on the minimap, look towards the bottom side. Nu's denying a full, maybe even a wave and a half to the side of BLG, but BLG are saying, hey, we're falling too far behind. We need to find some kind of big advantage somewhere, maybe hoping they can bait OMG into a fight. But you need to remember, Nu still has TP, and OMG are posturing for this.
OMG are posturing, but it is BLG who land that hook. Now you can see BuBu is in a lot of trouble. We can see there is Nu on the flank. You just mentioned it. He's got himself with the dominance. They're going to try and take down BuBu, and they will. Yes, you get the Rift Herald, but you lose a kill in the exchange. And now OMG, they've got the ascendancy. They've got themselves the priority. They can look to push mid.
Yeah, I mean, they're pushing mid. BLG still losing waves on bot. We're going to see Cream push in this top wave, so maybe even able to deny that one because no one on the side of BLG able to move up yet. Still 10 seconds on the BuBu. And I'm just going to say that that flank ward was so deep, I thought Nu maybe wouldn't get anything out of it, but still they pushed him as OMG back. He had enough time from how early on, technically he TP'd, to still be able to find that kill, so the gold lead only continues to grow for the side of OMG. This Renekton, despite being a bit punished early on, just outright from the matchup. And, you know, BLG did put a little bit of attention there when we saw Zika and Weiwei hover up towards top side. Still has done fine for himself. Cream is going to win either solo lane split push matchup he's put into. It's going to be all about rotating with numbers advantage. But with the fact that Dragon's up in 20 seconds, OMG are just going to funnel down mid. BuBu might have TP, but I don't think BLG are still in any position where they can contest this.
Very, very difficult, but Zika gets caught out, gets brought back down. He's going to try and ult himself out, but no, the flash is not good enough, and he dies to Cream. 6-0-1 on this Silas. He very firmly has OMG on his back, and he is carrying them to the finish line.
Yeah, so OMG are going to get the Dragon off this. BLG do still have the Rift Herald. They want to try and punish the fact that all of BLG's members are on bot side. That was pretty close for me. I mean, that was a nice try. A little bit sneaky coming out there, but
A for effort.
OMG now can just turn back to mid, push out this wave. You have Nu on bot side. That turret looks extremely low to going down, but BLG can answer. Again, we still see that Weiwei has that Rift Herald, but instead, BLG are all just going to turn their attention towards mid.
For BLG, I feel like the one big thing they need very, very soon is Grievous Wounds. Yes, they have got one Bramble Vest, but you just ignore the Volley Bear and it's not going to be that big of a deal. You need Grievous Wounds onto your Viego, you need Grievous Wounds onto your Diana to try and make these things work. I will say that Abel gets caught out, gets taken down, the Rift Herald punches in onto the mid lane turret, and now the fight can really begin as PP God goes gold, and they're going to jump in with the Stolen Volley Bear ultimate. It's going to be the Bringer of Storms, it's going to be Cream pushing forward. This is a 4v5 right now as they go, sorry, 5v4 or 4v4, excuse me, and now it turns into a 4v3. It's OMG after losing Abel taking 2 kills and pushing themselves back into the advantage.
BLG, knowing that some of the members of OMG recalled, thought that they can go for that dive with numbers advantage. They do pull off the initial dive, but still, OMG are able to react in time. They have the better turn, they have more items, they're on stronger power spikes, and BLG ultimately get punished. BLG are just trying to find these small windows wherever they can, and we need to remember that when you're the team behind, right, you don't necessarily dictate the amount of options you have, but we are going to see the replay come in. Weiwei does go in, BuBu able to come off on the flank, but Cold, nice job of locking members down with the quickness, so when Cream TP's in, you have a pretty good chance of it being a 4v4 because PP God was so low, and then they just keep funneling in onto the members of BLG. You have 4 amazing divers, aiming doing his best to kite it out, but still the damage not quite being there for the Ezreal yet. Now he does have that mirror mana, so is going to be hitting quite hard. The question is, can the rest of his team survive for him to be able to get off that damage?
Well, looks like the Red Buff's going to be the next kind of objective fight, but it's just going to be a little bit of a posturing and taken by OMG. And I will say, as a play-by-play, when you have a game with a Silas and a Viego, it becomes quite difficult to follow who's doing what, because they all steal each other's ultimates, they all steal each other's beings, as we see now. Cold gets caught by the dredge line, but able to get himself out. But yeah, I'm still working on it, so I do apologize if I fumble a little bit, guys. And it's just a little confusing sometimes to know who's doing what.
Cream, though, is going to be spotted out by the ward. Was trying to threaten with the flank, and now we have two very different dynamics. Cream, okay, I was thinking maybe he would just go for the engage with the rest of his team flocking in, but OMG utilizing side prio, continuously trying to move Cream over for the side of BLG because they aren't able to get prio anywhere just independently with their laners. You see them just keep forcing situations where they're sending way into mid. They're trying to get this turret down. If they can just posture with enough members around mid, you would assume they should be able to take this down quite easily. But for OMG, if that turret ultimately goes down, I don't think it matters too much. They still should be able to keep control of mid lane. And if any skirmish breaks out, that's what they're hoping for.
Cream, 702's got his Zonyas, has his Everfrost, the Ionian Boots of Lucidity, 10 stacks on that Dark Seal, so if he wants to turn it into a Medjai's, he can. And it really has just been funneled so much gold, and becomes so difficult in these 5v5 fights, because if he does land an abscond abduct, if he does get on top of a carry, there's not really much they can do about it. And even if you do get on top of him, you still have Abel, 2-item Tristana, pumping out damage on the backside as well.
I mean, there's really no member of BLG that's safe from Cream jumping onto you, right? Sure, BB does have a lot of health, but he did still go for stacking armor first because of all the AD threats on the side of OMG. But BB got extremely squishy right now. Zika extremely squishy, way falling in that same camp, but he might have that stopwatch. He has finally picked up the Oblivion Orb, so listening to you on those grievous wounds, OMG get control of top side. They're going to path through mid, and we're 21 minutes in the game, and it looks like OMG are about to pick up Soul.
Yeah, you have to fight at this if you're BLG. You cannot let this one go down. It would make killing Cream almost impossible. So we can see OMG just trying to get some position around this Dragon Pit, but they need to make sure that mid has been taken care of first. As the rest of BLG posture around, you can see them just pushing forward, making sure they have the vision. There is no real vision for either side around this Dragon Pit right now, but it is BLG who get the first advantage. They get the first foot in the door. But OMG, they're going to be feeling confident for taking this fight.
I mean, we see BLG utilize the Ezreal ult to get that wave low so they can guarantee they get pushed, force that in, get turret down. They were able to get some semblance of vision so they can start using aiming to poke out OMG, make it hard for them to walk in. But I like OMG's response. They're just going to walk down through bot, push in this wave, have a safe corridor to enter through. And as BLG, you can't just commit to mid in this situation. You need to contest this Drake.
Couple more seconds till Nu and Abel have their flashes available, same with Bubu. So everything else is up there for every team. This could be the final stand here for BLG. They need to make sure they do not get caught. You can see them just trying to throw out mystic shots, making sure that they are not the ones taking damage. They are the one dealing the damage, as Dragon is going to be doing a little bit of that himself. Everyone's just posturing around. No one wants to fully commit just yet.
I mean, BLG are doing a decent job, right? They have BB making sure a flank doesn't come through. They made OMG lose a bunch of minions in mid, but OMG are still fighting the situation. And now Moonfall comes out for Cream.
Cream is stolen the Moonfall. They go in with the quickness to try and take down this fight. They're going to jump straight in as he gets himself over the wall. He's no longer a part of this fight. He's waiting to try flash in, but there's the Bringer of Storms. It looks like BLG have found themselves a fight, but look at Abel. Abel's putting out the damage. He gets 2. He's trying to jump himself out. He needs to get himself more damage down, but I don't think he can. He's just not quite there on the Tristana. As I say that, he's still kiting with this Red Bull doing so much. Aiming takes him out, though, and it's just Cold left. He will eventually fall to the hands of the big bear in the top side of Bubu, and that is a 5-for-2 trade. BLG back in the game.
And it was so close. I feel like the big thing is Cream wasn't able to find that impact. He is the one with all the gold on the side of OMG, but his ultimate only landing on one member from the side of BLG. It looked like he was almost able to turn around. Coming from Abel himself, he was left untouched that whole skirmish, but at the same time, they were able to find those initial kills coming out. Weiwei and Bubu especially having a lot of impact. And then, sure, Abel was left untouched on the opposite side of the fight, but so was aiming. We're going to see the replay here. Cold going for the engage, but keep your eyes on Cream. No one really able to follow up. They do go in, but it's only onto Weiwei, so Cream not able to have the impact. Aki, same situation coming out, and then Biu, the whole time he was checking that flank and making sure no one was coming through, that put him in the position where he's able to find the massive flank himself. They still have an exhaust from Cream, so cutting that damage down, and Abel's doing his best, but the tankiest member of BLG surviving, he did just build full armor, has that Thorn Mail, so not able to be brought down just yet. Aiming able to get off a ton of Mystic shots on the back of the fight, and BLG were able to bring the gold, not only even, but slightly in their favor.
And that Biu flank was just so perfectly timed. Both stopwatches and Zanya had been used by Aki and Cream. As soon as they come out of it, there's just a giant bear bearing down on top of them and nowhere for them to really go. And of course, great moves here from the side of BLG to get them some gold back in their pockets. 3 kills, or 2 of those kills went over to the side of Zika, so he's got himself up to the Sterix gauge now, so tanky boy. And Biu honestly doing exactly what it needs to do, jumping on priority carries, being a nuisance, and being the front line, absorbing damage for aiming.
I feel like Weiwei and Biu were definitely the standouts in that fight, right? Because once the quickness come out, Weiwei was the one who bought so much time by going in and locking them down. So this XV5 duo showing a ton of synergy in that last fight. Surprisingly enough, I feel like that has been the one area where BLG have looked best, is the teamwork coming out between Biu, Weiwei, and PP God, so still keeping that from the strength of V5 in 2020 summer. Now, I mean, you're at the point where a lot of these champions are coming online for the side of BLG. We see the Spectral's Cowl coming out for Biu, so finally going to build up some of that MR. We're still not there for Weiwei's Zanya's, which I feel like will be a pretty massive buy, being able to go in with that engage, get the damage down, give time for your front line to come in, so then when you come out of Zanya's, you can still off-put more damage and hopefully survive. But OMG still aren't out of this. If Cream can find that massive flank, if he can find his way onto aiming or be able to catch someone out like we've seen all game, that is still the window for OMG to find the win. But, you know, the Xin the Renekton, definitely going to start not having the same amount of impact as something like a Diana on the opposite side. I guess both Volibear and Renekton are going to just turn into straight-up CC bots and meat shields for the rest of their team, though.
Weiwei may not have a Zanya's, but PP God does, so PP God's feeling pretty confident about going in onto these engages with the Dredge lines, so we'll see how influential that particular item active is for him, is able trying to get himself up to that Infinity Edge. Of course, you look at that fight with a 3-item Tristana, very different situation, as it has got so much damage off of the explosive cast, or the, the explosive bomb, and you see there, the Infinity Edge finally finished up. Actually, almost got the Rabadon's death cap here for Cream. So, a lot of big 3-item spikes coming out here for OMG very soon. And BLG, they're not out of the woods just yet. They still have a soul point to deal with in 1 minute 45.
Yeah, and like you said, I feel like a lot of those big spikes coming out from OMG are so strong. Abel especially, once Cream finishes that death cap, it's going to be massive. For the side of BLG, they're looking towards their front line. You're looking at Biu saying, okay, he does have a ton of gold. He's sitting on 3 items himself, a whole item up over New on the opposite side. And BLG going to go with this Baron. It does look like OMG have an idea. They're setting up for the turn if you look at how PP got his position, though.
Oh, the TP is going to be used by both top liners, and now we're going to try and go for this one. You can see Aki trying to get out of the pit. He's not quite there just yet. He goes in, not able to steal it though, as Baron is secured by BLG. Now the 5v5 can really happen, but look at these low health bars, and look at Abel, look at Cream. They're just putting out so much DPS right now. Aiming needs to be the hero. He's over the wall. No one can touch him. He needs to keep putting down the damage. You can see him just Mystic shot, trying to see if he can go for it. It's 1v4, 1v2. He's going to be able to do it. He's going to be able to turn this one around.
Oh, he's
you
doing
absolute god!
And I honestly thought he was going to jump into certain death once he eat into the pit, but aiming able to turn it around. This was such a massive advantage for OMG in the early game. I can't believe BLG are actually pulling this off. Not only do at the last second they decide, hey, let's commit to the Baron, we got it low enough, but they're also able to take the fight.
Unreal AD carry mechanics here from aiming, positioning themselves so well behind the Baron pit, constantly throwing out Qs, constantly putting in auto attacks, and then as soon as he knew he was safe, as soon as he knew he could go back in, immediately Arcane shifts, and now they're able to kind of open up the map a little bit more, get some more damage down, take away this Drake again. That puts them on 2 versus the 3 of OMG, and OMG just feel like it feels like they should be coming out with these wins, but just out of nowhere, they just can't seem to find those very key carries.
I just love that after that fight, Aiming's able to back and buy not only a full item in the Sorelto's Grudge, but also able to pick up the Executioner's Calling. So, yeah, picking up a ton of gold in that play. They also are able to deny the Dragon coming out, but you can see BLG at first were planning to turn. They get the Dragon so low, they decide just to opt into this. We see Aki going quite early, so he's already forced out of the fight. Cole tries to find an angle in. Weiwei was able to do a ton of damage before being brought out. But like you highlighted, Aiming able to get over the wall on the opposite side. BuBu is still incredibly tanky and hard for the members of OMG to deal with. I thought here, when Aiming Arcane shifted in, we would just see the members of OMG turn onto Aiming and try to bring him down. New still chasing around the volley bear a little bit, so I wonder if OMG had committed, if they would have been able to find that kill, but I guess, you know, in the end it doesn't matter because they didn't do that, and now BLG are going to be pushing down bottom lane, starting to take the base away from OMG.
The if, buts, and maybes of League of Legends. So many questions, so many things that you think to yourself and go, what if? What may be this? But it doesn't come out that way. The result is the result. And now, 4,000 gold lead, or just a little bit under it here for BLG. They are knocking on the inhibitor doors here of OMG, and OMG are struggling to find a response to this.
I mean, OMG's composition is pretty much go, go, go. They need to jump in. They all want to dive onto the backline. The problem is, Aiming's incredibly safe. He's on the Ezreal. Sure, he might not have flash and heal up, but then you also have so many members that can prevent that engage coming through. We've seen both BuBu and Weiwei doing a great job of that so far. Zika has finally started to come into it and have some damage of his own, and then as long as PP God is getting his ult off onto the right targets, it's all that really matters to allow this Ezreal to shine.
Zika playing with fire almost gets caught by the abscond abduct. A fantastic name to say in a team fight to try and not trip over yourself with, but again, still cannot count out the side of OMG. Tristana, Silas, both sitting on pretty much 3.5 items, have their core build and are only getting stronger and stronger as this game goes on. You've now hit critical mass for the Ezreal. You're on 6 items. You're not going to get any stronger than you are apart from that one extra level that will bring you up to level 18. So not really, you know, kind of going to be going anywhere from here. So if you're able to take him out, you have a huge amount of damage you can put down here on the side of BLG. And right now, OMG, they need to try and just get back on the map, get themselves this, you know, kind of pressure that they had in the early game, and maybe look to try and just take this dragon again for the third time's the charm, hopefully.
I mean, I feel like it's harder than ever for them because, sure, Aiming's full build, but, like, and you're saying he can't go above that, right? But he's so many items ahead of Abel at this point. It's actually insane. And then we talk about top laners, like, sure, both Volibear and Renekton do both become generic frontliners, but BuBu is itemized pretty much full tank, so he's going to have a lot more potency in these team fights compared to Nu, who, you know, the standard Renekton build coming out extremely strong in mid-game skirmishes, but not going to be able to tank as much as BuBu. You have more damage coming out from Weiwei and a lot more, I'd say, usefulness in the Diana than the Xin Zhao. And then Cold at this point, sure, he might be able to find an engage, but I feel like the members of BLG are durable enough to where if Cold goes in, he can just get blown up on the spot. So this will be quite hard for OMG to find an advantage. I feel like you're relying a little bit on BLG to make a mistake, and BLG, they're not doing that.
They are not. They are going to be pushing down these inhibitor turrets. That's the second inhibitor turret going down without any kind of response here for the side of OMG. They're just letting it happen right in front of their eyes, and like you said, they want to try and go in, but they're so afraid, they're so aware that if they go overcommit, if they cannot get everybody on the same page, onto the same target, they will just get kited out and blown to pieces. So we have got the GA here for Aki, so he might be the initiator, if you will, for the side of OMG, as he's got himself that little second life, second chance. BLG, they've cracked up on the base twice now. They've got super minions flooding into that bot side. 25 seconds still Baron. They're going to move up towards that one, and it becomes very difficult here for the side of OMG to make a defense call or to try and contest for an objective.
I mean, that's the thing, right? BLG can just play with time and play with their minion waves at this point. It's going to become a little bit more nuanced and complicated because Dragon is coming up as well. So, you know, definitely don't want to give that over to OMG. But OMG at some point are probably just going to let minions flock into their base to contest these objectives. We see right now Cream is dealing with it, but you expect that TP is going to have to come out.
I love this little move, though, just before we go into the fight from Aiming. He swapped his Ionian booth for Merc Trends, because he knows if he's caught, they lose the fight. So that extra little bit of tenacity, as now the Baron goes down to about 4,000 HP. We can see the fight is going to start before it even goes off. The Zhonya's has been used there by Diana. Cole tries to go in onto the backside. They're trying to jump onto Aiming, and you can see him. He's just being too tanky. He's just got too much damage. But on the other side of this fight, it's 2 kills for Abel. Abel pushing forward and trying to be the hero for his team. But I don't think he can do it. They're trusting in with Zika. Zika's going to be going into Zhonya's. They're trying to delay for a little bit more time. It's the battle of the 80 carries, but it will be Aiming who comes out on top. Aiming keeps his team alive. Aiming keeps himself alive, and it is the ace for BLG.
And we talked about how these teams were pretty much performing opposite to expectations. BLG this time around, even losing in the early game. We said their mid-game decisions and mid-game team fighting have been where they failed, but this time around, that's how they got back in the game.
Fantastic mid-game fights right around that 4th Drake for BLG. You can see Cold here. It's going to be a desperate attempt to try and keep this one alive for his team, but with the Nexus turrets down, the Nexus exposed, BLG will take themselves game 1 in this best of 3 after padding the stats just a little bit.
LPL team fights are just some of the greatest things to watch. It was incredibly hard to follow, I'm sure, for everyone, but in the end of the day, BLG were able to keep Aiming alive. We saw a lot of high-impact ultimates and engages, and I'd say disruption would be the perfect word, coming out from the Diana, coming out from the Volibear. Zika, at some point, was able to start being a bit of a hindrance as well, but I do feel like this was OMG more kind of throwing it away in that mid-game, right? We saw the one fight around the bottom side of the map where especially Cream tries to go in, takes away the Diana ultimate, is only able to find it onto the Diana herself. Way able to buy so much time with his own ultimate, then into Azania's, which set up for that one fight where Volibear comes in on the flank, Aiming's left untouched, and where BLG were really able to take control of this game. So Aiming and Bubu really being the big standouts. We don't even need the damage graph to tell us that. We saw in those team fights, Bubu really being the main cause of disruption on the side of OMG, and then, I mean, Aiming was allowed to do whatever he wanted.
I mean, honestly, I really do think that they're so smart to swap out to the Merc Treads right at the end there, because he recognized, right, I don't need extra cooldown right now. I'm level 18. I have pretty much all of the ability haste that I'm never going to need. All I need to do is not be caught in one spot for too long. And it's exactly what happened. He did get caught out. They were able to jump on top of him, but because it was that little bit of extra tenacity, that little bit of less time to jump after, you know, all the extra damage onto him, he was able to escape. He was able to keep himself alive, putting out damage, putting out mystic shots, and really just carrying his team. Almost 40,000 damage is just insane for this game. As I've just been told right there, he's just got his MVP because he just had a fantastic game.
That one was easy to know, right? He performed exceptionally. The way he played around, especially that Baron, was just really cool and really fun to watch, and was definitely the big thing that pushed BLG across the finish line and got them that win. And like you said, his build already had so much. His build already had so much ability, he's able to put out so much damage. Even Frozen Heart when you're up against the Xin Zhao Renekton, and it's standard in Ezreal's build, obviously, but at the same time, we saw when members of OMG were able to get on top of him, they still weren't really able to get any damage down. So 100% kill participation as well is pretty much absolutely busted and unheard of coming out for an AD carry.
I mean, if you ever wanted to see a carry performance, I think that's pretty much it. You know, yes, enabled by the rest of his team, but that Baron fight was just absolutely exceptional coming out from Aiming and really did put his team on his back. But we're gonna set it to a quick break, and when we return, we will have game 2 of this best of 3 right around the corner.